Hi everyone, I'm Sophie Karen-Nicholas and with me today I have
Hayden Grice
and William Colson-Jones.
We are all from the University of Adelaide's Flipped Classroom Community of Practice, and we're here today to talk you through our Flipped Classroom design template that hopefully will help you design your flipped classrooms. Now we've mapped it against Bloom's modified taxonomy because it's really important in any flipped classroom approach that you do structure all your different learning segments according to an instructional design framework. So we're going to start with CJ first of all, who's our student representative on the community of practice. CJ, can you tell us what the pre-class means to you as a student?
So as a student, the pre-class activities is all about sort of introducing key concepts and getting the students familiar with the key concepts. And the materials that's introduced at the start sort of helps to bring everyone aligned at the same level.
Okay. So Hayley, as an academic now, could you give us an example of how you use your pre-class activities to address some of the points that CJ just covered?
So I use the flipped classroom model, or more specifically team-based learning, to deliver the principles of oxygen loading and unloading on haemoglobin. And my pre-class activity, I use articulate storyline to lead students through the basics of haemoglobin structure and oxygen loading to begin them understanding and remembering the basic facts.
Wonderful. And so now, I guess once you've got your pre-class all organised, you've got to really think about what you're going to do in class with the students, and that's usually the challenging part. So for you, CJ, can you tell us what the in-class is all about?
Yeah, so first up in class, it's sort of all about clarifying anything that was sort of learnt in the pre-class activities. So it's all about sort of the instructor sort of clarifying any confusion that us as students have with the topics that have been introduced.
And is that usually done at the beginning of the in-class?
Yeah, it's usually done at the beginning of the in-class activities from feedback that's been provided.
Okay. Good. And then what else happens in the in-class? Once you've sort of clarified those key concepts that you were meant to cover in the pre-class, what happens after that?
Well, the next part is all about synthesising and bringing it all together and sort of allows the students to sort of apply that knowledge in a sort of a simulated or sort of a real life context.
All right, fantastic. Hayley, you're going to give us an example of how you actually achieve those the criteria that CJ just covered for us.
Right. So my in-class sessions begin with a multiple choice quiz that students take as individuals and then as a team, so that they then can be held accountable for their preparation. Have they done the pre-reading and do they understand it? Before we then move on to team-based application exercises that get students out of their chairs and moving around. So in small groups they work together to act out haemoglobin transport, and we use exercise bites to get students to understand the physiological effects and how that can affect oxygen loading and unloading.
So Hayley, can you get them involved to the degree that you do if they didn't have that pre-class preparation?
Certainly not, because within a 2-hour session, if I had to deliver the basic facts and definitions, then there wouldn't be enough time for the students to apply their knowledge to contextual examples. So by scaffolding them in the beginning, it gives them time to work in a safe environment to apply their knowledge to real-world situations.
Right, thank you. So CJ, what happens after that? Once you've had your pre-class, you've come into class, you've clarified your key concepts, you then move on and you build on those key concepts through a lot of active learning, as Hayley's just demonstrated. What happens then?
Well, after we've all sort of brought it all together, it's all about sort of applying and demonstrating what we've learned. And that can be formed through a form of assessment or something in class through your clinical rotations. So it's all about bringing it all together and putting it into a real world sort of situation. So I think that's a really great way.
Okay, so you really emphasise that real world application in the post-class.
Absolutely.
So Hayley, how do you achieve that real world application?
So I think one of the most important components of the flipped classroom template is linking what they're doing in class to some kind of summative assessment, because it needs to pay off for the students. So the posters that my students prepare during the class are scanned and made available to them on My Uni, and they're then informed that one of the long answer questions in the exam is going to be based on one of the exercises that they've completed. So that therefore motivates them to go back and review the information that they've already learnt and then sort of retain that knowledge and be able to apply it to another situation.
Fantastic. So to summarise, CJ, in this flipped classroom approach, do you think as a student you're more, I guess in regards to the learning outcomes and the assessment, do you think it prepares you a lot better for what those learning outcomes actually mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say for each stage you're sort of aligned, or what's being taught is aligned with the learning outcomes and assessment criteria. You're being reminded at each point as well, and it's very relevant, I believe, to what is needed to be understood from a student's perspective.
Awesome. So just to summarise then, the pre-class, we've talked about it's really important to have it structured to familiarise the students with the key concepts so that they all come to class with almost a similar level of understanding.
Yep.
And then the
In-class
in-class,
activity is about taking them to that next level where they can be in a safe environment so that you can scaffold them through analysing and applying that information to contextual examples.
and then as CJ said,
It's all about demonstrating it and applying it to a real world context.
so we hope you've understood our flipped classroom template. Thank you.